Hi, this is Nancy Bergen reporting for Bass City Beat, and I'm here at the Mount Clemens Public Library with author and historian Debbie Larsen, who will be presenting When the Stars Came to Mount Clemens.
My name is Deborah Larsen. I'm the Assistant Director of Mount Clemens Public Library, and for the last 29 years I've also been the local history librarian here. And today I presented a program on a theatrical colony that was thriving in Mount Clemens in the late 19th and early 20th century, based on some research that I did for Michigan History Magazine. I had done a book last year called Legendary Locals of Mount Clemens, and while researching that book I started to find bits and pieces of information about theater professionals who lived or visited Mount Clemens frequently. And I put a little bit of that in the book, but I set some of the other stuff aside, hoping that I could get back to it later and find out more about it. So once the book was done and that was all, the furor from that was died down, I had a little time. I started looking more into the theatrical people and trying to find out what the real story was about their presence in Mount Clemens. And I put together a ton of material and decided I wanted to do something with it. So I wrote an article for Michigan History Magazine called When the Stars Came to Mount Clemens, and that was published in the March-April issue. And then I decided I would do a program for it to let the people in Mount Clemens know more about it. The colony was an offshoot of the bath industry. Obviously, they came here so that they could benefit from the mineral baths, just like the general visitors did. But instead of just coming and going, they really adopted the town, which was really fascinating to me. And as I mentioned in the program, the newspaper would call them friends and neighbors, not celebrities. These were people that lived with them, and just to imagine Mount Clemens today as the home of a bunch of entertainment celebrities, it seems very far from our thoughts, but that's the reality of what it was like here in Mount Clemens around 1900. And I was just stunned by the number of actors who were coming here, hundreds of them. That just blew me away. These professionals traveled with their shows. They went from town to town from August through April. They would get on a train, they would come into a town, they'd do a couple of rehearsals, they'd do 3 or 4 days of shows, then they'd pack up their sets and stuff and they would be on to the next town. So they were on the road for 9 months a year without a break, doing 2 or 3 shows a day, and they got done, they were exhausted. And if they were singers and dancers, their bodies had taken quite a beating. So to come to a resort where they could take the mineral baths and relax and get all of those aches and pains out of their system was a perfect fit for them.
The program held at the Mount Clemens Public Library consisted of Debbie's personal findings of the previous stars of the city, combined with actual photographs of the stars and their homes in the Mount Clemens area, as well as real newspaper article clippings. People from all over the county came to learn the fascinating history of Mount Clemens theatrical colony, and not one of them left unimpressed by all the hidden knowledge of our hometown.
It's an interesting part of our history that's kind of been hidden away for years. Once the actors stopped coming, Mount Clemens moved on. It really wasn't written about in the history books, and it's really kind of a fascinating glimpse into the world that was Mount Clemens when the bath industry was up and running strong. So it's just another aspect of that whole history that we really haven't explored before. And as a historian, I like to know as much as I can about any topic, so that was why I just picked that up and ran with it.
For more information about your local history, check out Debbie Larsen's article, as well as her book, Legendary Locals of Mount Clemens, right here at the Mount Clemens Public Library. For Bass City Beat, I'm Nancy Bergen.